Alrighty, radio check, radio check. Hope you guys can hear me. Welcome back to the channel. We have got the Spanish Grand Prix underway today, and we've got free practice 3 has already finished. We have got now qualifying upcoming. Yeah. Alright. So there has been quite a lot of action on the circuit as of so far in this weekend, and it will keep on. Well, hopefully it keeps on going. Yeah. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We've already got I think it's 200 or so people that have tuned in, so very much do appreciate the support, folks. Yeah, we will have qualifying starting in 30 minutes time, and then the practice, and then the race on Sunday as normal. Yeah. All right. Oh. So far in this weekend, we've had the 3 practice sessions. Not too much exciting. You know, we've had it's been quite sunny out in Spain, very, very hot indeed. So the drivers have been struggling with tyre wear, tyre temperature. But apart from that, we have had quite a bit of action in the Formula 2, Formula 3 and F1 Academy races that we've had here so far. But, you know, of course, the main focus, we have got Formula 1 here, and right up at the top of the field, we are still uncertain of who's going to get pole position today. Will it be the Ferraris? Will it be the McLarens? Will it be the Mercedes? Or will it be Max Verstappen? Very, very difficult to predict. Sergio Perez has been given a 3-place grid penalty. He got that last weekend because of an infringement. So I don't know if you guys remember, but last weekend we had not last weekend, 2 weekends ago in Canada, we had a whole lot of action and in the rain, and Sergio Perez, he ended up crashing into the barriers, damaging his rear wing. And after he damaged his rear wing, he drove back to the pits with the rear wing kind of just dangling off the back of the car. And the FIA deemed that an unsafe re-entry onto the circuit, like your car wasn't in a suitable condition to be driven around. So I think that was fair enough. With the rear wing just dangling on the back, it could have very easily just fallen off and then hit another driver. So yeah, Sergio Perez was given a 3-place grid penalty for that, and that is why he even wherever he qualifies today, he will end up 3 positions below that for the race tomorrow. Yeah. Let's wait and see. Of course, it's a Spanish Grand Prix, so Carlos Sainz's home race, and he's ended up first position in FP3, which is great to see. Fernando Alonso's home race as well. The Aston Martins don't look too quick this weekend, but we'll wait and see what Fernando Alonso can do. If we just look at the FP3 times, Fernando Alonso 8 positions ahead of his teammate. So once again, Alonso doing a great job. It's the 21st time he's taking part in a Spanish Grand Prix. It is absolutely sensational. The amount of experience that Fernando Alonso has got, and I'm sure he'll be doing brilliantly this weekend as well. Right. Let's see what else is going on in the paddock. McLaren had a little fire in their garage, in fact. Yeah, McLaren, I don't know what happened. I think after the end of FP3, they ended up with a little fire. The marshals obviously went and put it out, and I don't think anything serious was damaged, but a little strange there from the McLaren crew. Something caught on fire inside their garage, which is not something that we hear very often. F1 is very, very cautious to eliminate all fire risks and make everything fireproof or fire resistant as possible. So yeah, and also in FP3, so this circuit isn't too short, to be fair, but usually we see this problem at short circuits, but in FP3 we had quite a few incidents between drivers when they were blocking each other. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for that and see what goes on there, but Yeah, it's not been great, really. We had an incident between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. We had another incident between Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen. We had an incident between Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris, and an incident between Lewis Hamilton and Lance Stroll. All of these incidents happened in FP3. Where the drivers just weren't aware of another driver behind them, and they've all had to go see the stewards. At most, it'd probably be a reprimand, given that it is only free practice, but it is something to keep in mind, of course, because if that happens in the qualifying today, well, we're going to have grid penalties being dished out left, right, and centre. So yeah, and the drivers have been. Stroll did something odd here. Hamilton was blocking Stroll on Stroll's hot lap, and then Hamilton, after he realised far too late to get out the way, after he did get out the way, Stroll came and just gave him a little nudge in his car. So a bit odd there from Lance Stroll, and the same could be said for who was it? Charles Leclerc. After Lando Norris blocked Charles Leclerc, Leclerc gave him a little nudge, a small little brake check as well. So we'll see if anything comes of that. It's not something that we've seen very often in Formula 1, a little brake check or anything like that. But, we will just have to wait and see. All right, we've got 700 people already tuned in. Thank you very, very much. That is brilliant to see. Yeah, but you can't go 3 places back from P20. That is a good point, Liam. But I think Sergio Perez should make it out of Q1. Whether he makes it out of Q2 or not, that will be another question. He's been struggling quite a bit in the past couple of weekends. And past 2 weekends hasn't made it out of Q2, which is not good. Yeah, and it's going to be even harder this weekend because given the fact that Ferraris are on pace, the McLarens are on pace, the Mercedes are on pace, that's 6 cars that are already going to be in the top 10 for sure. And then you'll have Verstappen, which will be the 7th car. So there's only 3 slots remaining to get through into Q3. And Sergio Perez better get in, otherwise Red Bull are not going to be pleased whatsoever. Yeah. George Russell, if you guys remember last weekend, he has had George Russell had quite a good weekend last weekend, but quite a few mistakes as well to go along with it. He was pretty quick and in fact ended up ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and made an on-track overtake to do that as well, but quite a few mistakes from him. And afterwards in an interview, what he's been saying is that he really feels like that car, the Mercedes car, now that they've figured out, sorted out all of those issues, they figured out how to set up the car and what works well, what doesn't. George Russell genuinely thinks that the Mercedes can get a win, and I think he's correct for thinking that. But he's now also said, because I can see this victory, this victory is in sight, I'm going to be pushing harder than ever. And that's going to make him, make more mistakes. And mistakes are to be expected because he's going to be pushing as hard as possible to try and get this race win for Mercedes. In this season, past 2 seasons have been really tough for Mercedes. But if George Russell can come through with a victory, given the fact that he's going to be the Mercedes #1 driver, whatever happens next year, if Kimi Antonelli drives for Mercedes, or if it's Carlos Sainz, George Russell will be the #1 driver because he's already been there, and he's really got to bring his A game now, reduce the number of mistakes, but also be able to pull out those extraordinary performances that we expect of him being at a top team in Formula 1. It's going to be a big uphill battle there for George Russell. We've seen quite a few mistakes, at Singapore last year, and I think he made 3-4 big mistakes in Canada as well. Just some little mistakes that under pressure are very, very easy to make. And I think in Saudi Arabia as well also had a bit of an incident. So yeah, George Russell has really got to bring his A game, and hopefully he can lead the Mercedes team forward. That'd be brilliant. F1 Gamer, what is your silly summer break prediction? Ooh, silly summer break prediction. It's tough to say really. I actually don't know. I don't know. Are you talking about driver transfers, or are you talking about what's going to happen in Formula One? Because I'm going to say, maybe Carlos Sainz will be driving for Audi next year. Who knows? The spots on the 2025 grid are starting to fill up. Indeed, they are. And Carlos Sainz still yet to have a seat confirmed. That's really not good. Yeah, I don't really know another way to put it. Carlos Sainz, a brilliant driver, some seriously quick performances from him, but just been unable to get anywhere near a seat in Formula One after, he's been dropped by Ferrari. Maybe he could get back into Mercedes. Doesn't seem so likely. Mercedes are quite keen on bringing a driver from their academy up. Alpine, do you really want to drive for Alpine? Alpine, they've brought they've had some big upgrades, so they are doing all right. But do you really want to be at Alpine? Alpine doesn't seem like the most stable team. They're pretty down on power. I think they're 25 horsepower, or 15 or 25 horsepower down compared to the rest of the pack, which is not ideal. Or he could be at Williams, or he could be at Kick Sauber. None of the options are looking particularly great there for Carlos Sainz, considering his skill and his pace as a driver. You really do not want to be ending up at Kick Sauber or something like that. All right. Hi, everyone here. I missed the Canada GP, but I can't miss this one. Where do you think Valtteri or K-Mag will go? Ooh, well, I think Valtteri Bottas Valtteri Bottas, you've got to give this man some props. He was the number 2 driver at Mercedes, right? But he had 103 consecutive Q3 appearances. That is absolutely mind-boggling. That is 4 seasons in a row Valtteri Bottas got into Q3. Not a single race that he didn't make it through into Q3, which is mind-blowing. And he's seriously quick, a lot of experience behind himself as well. And I would say Valtteri Bottas is probably prime candidate for Audi. Audi now coming into Formula One, they're a big name. They want to do well. They're going to be putting a lot of money behind this, and they want to be right up there with the Mercedes, with the Ferraris and the McLarens. And the only way they're going to get that is with experience. Now, they've already signed Nico Hülkenberg, who is a brilliant driver and has got a lot of experience behind him. But Valtteri Bottas, it's just even more. Valtteri Bottas has got race wins, podiums, and he's got more experience. And I would say, just by spending more time at a top team and competing against Lewis Hamilton, I would say Valtteri Bottas probably quicker than Nico Hülkenberg as well, which means that Bottas would be a great addition for Audi's lineup. So I think that's where Valtteri Bottas should go. As for Kevin Magnussen, it is tough to say. Maybe he'll end up at Williams, but I think Williams are quite keen on bringing up a Mercedes driver, because if they do, then Williams get a nice pay package out of it. Hard to say where K-Mag's going to go. All right. Let's see. Do you guys think it's a waste of money to buy F1 TV sub right now? No, you can buy it, and if you buy it for the entire year, it's valid until the 8th race of the season next year as well. So even if you buy it now, it's technically still valid for 1 full year, and you'll get it, and it'll expire after 24, 25 races. So I would say buying F1 TV Pro is worth it. The link is in the description if you are interested. Right. So let's see, what else is there to talk about in the paddock? Well, we have got quite the big number of upgrades this weekend, so we'll get on to that. But as of now, the driver standing, Max Verstappen at the top, Charles Leclerc 56 points behind him. Then we've got Lando Norris in third, who's 7 points behind Leclerc. Carlos Sainz 23 points behind Lando Norris, and Sergio Perez in 5th position, 1 point behind Carlos Sainz. So it is all quite close It's quite close. It's a lot closer than we've had in previous years. Let's say that it's not that close as of now. But if the Ferraris do have quicker pace than Red Bull, then it could be getting pretty tasty towards the end of the season. So let's get on to the upgrades. We have got Ferrari with some big upgrades this weekend. Just, I think, a new rear wing that they've got, a new rear wing for the high downforce spec rear wing as well. So that's going to be pretty critical this weekend. Then we have got the McLarens have not brought any upgrades. Red Bull have brought side pod upgrades, floor upgrades, and I think rear brake duct upgrades as well. Kick Sauber have brought a rear wing upgrade, and Aston Martin have got some front suspension and front brake duct upgrades. So quite a few upgrades this weekend. Of course, given that it is 3 practice sessions and then the quali in the race, that does give teams the time to test out their upgrades, make sure everything's working fine. Next weekend out in Austria, it's going to be a sprint weekend, which means that the teams are unlikely to get time to test all of their upgrades. We'll probably see the same cars that we have this weekend, next weekend out in Austria. As of the Williams team, they have finally, brought both drivers on equal level. Previously, we've always had one driver with slightly more upgrades than the other because of the way the Williams have been manufacturing their parts. They haven't been doing them 2 at a time. They've just been getting them out as soon as possible, and then one driver will get the quickest parts. But this weekend now, both Alex Albon and Logan Sargent have equal cars, equal upgrades and everything. So let's keep an eye out on that. All right. We've also got to keep in mind track limits at this circuit. It is very easy to exceed the white line. Going through turn number 13, turn number 10, turn number 9, and turn number 3 as well. There are quite a few locations where you can exceed track limits. You will get your lap time deleted by the FIA, so the drivers will have to keep that in mind, and I will keep you updated on any deleted laps that are happening. Yeah. Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya is a great circuit indeed. There is a whole 2 DRS zones on this circuit, one down the main straight, one down the back straight before turn number 10, and quite a lot of high-speed corners. In fact, what we have here is quite a lot of right-hand high-speed corners. So if you look at it, turn number 3, right-hander, very high-speed corner. Turn number 9, right-hander, very high-speed corner. Turn number 13, turn number 14, both of them are right-handers and very high-speed corners. So what we see, and this is very, very odd for Formula 1, usually we have very symmetrical setups. The amount of stiffness that you have in your springs on the left side of the car is equal to the stiffness of the springs you have on the right side of the car, or your damper settings or your tire pressure settings. All of these different things, they're all exactly the same on the left and the right side of the car, usually on a typical circuit in Formula 1. But Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, it has got a lot of high-speed right-hand corners. So to optimize the car for this circuit specifically, what the teams do is that they modify only the left side of the suspension. They set the left side of the suspension to be a little bit softer than the right side, which gives the teams and the drivers more grip going through the high-speed right-hand corners. So the cars are very, very optimal and smoothly set up for turn number 3 and 9 and 13, 14. But then when they go through turn number 5, which is a left-hand corner, or they go through turn number 10, which is another left-hand corner, the car's a little bit unstable, a little bit unbalanced, and the performance doesn't carry over. Like, the drivers have done 6 corners that are right-handers, and they have a expectation of the car that the car will do this, and then they go into a left-hand corner and the car doesn't react as expected. So we see quite a few mistakes there, drivers exceeding track limits at turn number 10 specifically, because they get a whole lot of understeer, which they just aren't expecting, because the suspension settings are different from the left side of the car to the right side of the car. So yeah, that is one thing to keep in mind, and we'll see, we'll probably see a couple of mistakes out at turn number 10 where the drivers just overestimate the amount of grip that they have turning left, and they'll end up losing out. Yeah. Also, what is with the age of the super license being lowered to 17? That is quite the exciting topic. What's been going on is that the FIA have changed the age requirement to get a super license because Kimi Antonelli, who is the way that you could put it nicely, a Mercedes hotshot sort of thing. He's currently in the Mercedes Driver Academy, currently in Formula 2, and Mercedes have a lot of belief in him. And what they kind of expect is that he can get into Formula 1, maybe jump straight into the Mercedes car and perform at an exceptional pace. So for him to do that and get in to be able to drive and be allowed to drive the Mercedes F1 car, he's going to need a super license. And he has got all of the required qualifications, as in he's done practice tests in the Formula 1 cars, he's driven enough F2 races, he's won enough F2 races, and all of the rest of it. But the one limiting factor is that he was 17 years old, and the limit is 18. And yeah, they did raise the limit because of Max. Max came into Formula 1 and he was very, very young, and then they increased the limit because of Max, and now Mercedes want them to decrease the limit, and that is exactly what's happened. I don't know what sort of politics has been played behind the scenes, but Mercedes have managed to reduce the age limit for the super license, and now Kimi Antonelli, who is 17 years old, is has got the potential to get a super license and then drive for Mercedes, which is quite exciting. You know, the last time we had someone as young as 17 years old back onto the Formula 1 paddock, it was a young Max Verstappen raging in that AlphaTauri Toro Rosso seat, and giving us some brilliant driving as well to watch. So who knows what will happen with Kimi Antonelli? It is very tough to say. All right. Yeah, so that has been what's been going on in the Formula 1 world so far. We are now 9 minutes away from qualifying, beginning. The drivers now getting into their cars, and yeah, we will be qualifying very, very shortly. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If we can hit 73,000 subscribers this weekend, that would be fantastic. If we could hit it this stream, that would be brilliant. But yeah, we have got the Spanish Grand Prix upcoming shortly. Track temperature up at 46 degrees in FP3. It was exceptionally hot, and we've got, still high track temperatures. And another thing that we're going to have to watch out for is that in these practice sessions, we're going to see drivers with, if they push a little bit too hard in the first sector compared to everyone else, then what's going to happen is that they'll get a purple first sector, but then the problem that they'll have in the next two sectors is that their tires will be overheating and they will have nowhere near enough grip to make it through to set quick lap times in the second and the third sector. So it's a very difficult thing to balance here. Push hard enough in the first sector and get enough lap time there, or you push a little bit too hard and you completely lose out on all of your pace. So we've seen this in FP3. A couple of drivers, like especially the Mercs, what they've been doing is that they push really hard in the first sector, and they'll go purple in the first sector, and then the second sector will be green, and the third sector will be yellow, and they'll be slower overall. So it's a quite tough thing to balance, and I'm sure they would have analysed all the data and they will have worked out how hard they can push in which sectors to get the perfect lap time. But yeah, let's just wait and see what will happen with all of this. We are now, what is it? 6 minutes away from qualifying. We're going to have the team radio transcriptions on the right side as normal, and yeah. All right, prediction: Max wins. Play the anthem. That is I'm gonna say that's a little bit early. We've had if we look at the qualifying simulation data, the Red Bull is marginally, and I say marginally, 0.01 seconds quicker according to the qualifying data from practice. That's how much quicker than they are than the Ferrari, 0.01 seconds. So I'm going to say it's going to be pretty close. The McLarens are less than a tenth behind, and the Mercedes are, I think, just over a tenth behind the Red Bulls. But that can all change. Track temperatures change. They're going to be changing the setups overnight anyway. A whole lot of things will be changing, and we're going to see what happens this weekend, this qualifying session. Checo out in Q3 again. Well, we'll wait and see what happens to Checo. He's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders now. He had all of that pressure removed 2 weekends ago. Last weekend, sorry. He had all that pressure removed last weekend, where he was like, right, we're going to have an extra 2-year contract extension with you. Don't worry about it. And just focus on your driving. And, he focused on his driving and still got knocked out in Q2. So Sergio Perez has got a lot to play for. But we have potentially 8 drivers going for pole today. Probably not 8, probably 7 drivers, since that Sergio Perez has got a 3-place grid penalty. But I would just like to reiterate that for anyone that has just joined the stream today. Sergio Perez, from the Canadian Grand Prix, drove around with a damaged car, and it was potentially unsafe, so the FIA gave him a 3-place grid penalty for this weekend. And so wherever Sergio Perez qualifies today, he'll be starting 3 places lower for tomorrow's race. It has been very, very difficult for Alonso fans and Aston Martin fans, yes. While Mercedes and McLaren and Ferrari all have been making progress at an absolute rate of knots here, Aston Martin are nowhere to be seen. They usually start off the season very, very strong, and then as the season goes on, they get slower and slower. And I hope that this season would be slightly different. Maybe Aston Martin would have some consistent pace throughout the season. But once again, they started off the season strong, and now we are round 10 in Barcelona, and Aston Martin have dropped off the top of the pack. Would you prefer the Catalunya circuit or the 2026 street circuit? I would be very, very sure in saying I'd prefer the Barcelona circuit. It's going to be very, very exciting. And I would probably say the actual racetracks are a little bit better than street circuits. But yeah, that of course is my opinion. We have got 3 compounds from Pirelli, the hardest of the Pirelli range, the C1, the C2 and the C3 for the hard, medium and soft respectively. And 4 minutes now till we get underway for qualifying. I'm just going to load the qualifying data, just give me 1 second. The data should be up there in 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 seconds. There we go. Qualifying data is up. We'll have the radio transcriptions coming through any second now as well. Okie dokes. If you guys haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. It really will help out the channel. And let's get underway for qualifying then. All right. The drivers will be spending 67% of the time at this lap on full throttle. We've got 14 corners to play with, quite a lot of high-speed right-handers. And let's wait and see what happens. Track temperature is air temperature is 24 degrees. Track temperature is 37 degrees, so it has cooled down a little bit. And we have a southeasterly wind, which is 11.5 kilometers an hour. This is quite a significant wind here, and the drivers are going to have to get used to that, because we've seen this time and time again. Fernando Alonso in FP1 made a mistake solely due to the wind. Going through most of the lap, the wind was in a favourable direction. He got to turn number 14, the wind was in the opposite direction, and he lost a whole bunch of downforce, and off he went into the gravel. So yeah, the wind, very, very critical at this circuit. We have got a southeasterly wind, which means that the drivers should have a... a driver should have a tailwind going into turn number 10. So they're going to have to keep out for that. Keep an eye out for that. Make sure they don't lock the brakes. And then a crosswind for turn number 14, which will be tough to manage. But I'm sure the drivers will have figured that out. And yeah. Oh yeah, it's 11 kilometers an hour, which is twice the walking speed, but then you've got to take into account that the wind sometimes gusts, and that could maybe double to, a big jump in a wind speed. It's usually what causes drivers' mistakes. So if it goes from 11 to 20 and the drivers aren't expecting it, there you go, off onto the gravel. So, yeah. But we have got 18 minutes of Q1, 15 minutes of Q2, and 12 minutes of Q3 underway shortly now. 1 minute till the drivers make their way out into the pit lane and circuit. All right, let's get rid of this timer on the screen. There we go. And I guess I can move this little thing down as well. Right. I prefer turn 10 when it was a sharper corner. Well, yeah, that is true. Turn 10 when it was a sharper corner did make it a little bit harder, did make it a little bit easier to overtake at that specific corner, but I would argue that turn number 10, when it's been smoothed out a little bit, it allows for better battles through turn number 11 and 12, whereas normally, you get the overtake done at 10, and then it's job done. Whereas now, you get the overtake done at turn number 10, and then you still have to fight it through turn number 11 and 12, which makes it a lot better, in my opinion. And then even going into turn number 13, 14, we've seen drivers continue on their little battles. So, yeah, let's wait and see. But we've got drivers coming out onto the circuit. There we go. Logan Sargent, Guan Yu Zhou coming out onto the circuit. They've got to focus on their warm-up and clean up the circuit a little bit, get everything clear, and we'll probably have a bit of track evolution as well. All right, who do you reckon will go into the top 5? I reckon we're going to have at least, I think we're going to have Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris, and Max Verstappen for sure. Probably Charles Leclerc, and then maybe George Russell. I think George Russell as well. But top 5 is so hard to predict when you have 7 drivers that have so much performance, are on form as well. Some drivers, recovering from form. Lewis Hamilton had a couple of bad weekends, but here he is back out performing very, very well. It is very, very difficult to predict what's going to happen, and that's why I love it, really. Usually, well, not usually, but most of last season, I came on to start commentating, and I was like, right, Verstappen's probably going to get pole again today. Nothing too special, but today, woke up and I'm like, right, well, we have no idea whatsoever who's going to end up on pole position, which makes it a whole lot more exciting. All right, where are you from? Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came into Formula 1. Well, I'm from the UK, and my first ever Formula 1 race was the 2018 Spa Grand Prix, and yeah, I started this YouTube channel in 2020, and it's been going spectacularly amazing ever since. I kind of accidentally have become a YouTuber. I was kind of just doing it in a joke in lockdown in 2020, but then I thought, how far will this go? And well, it's got pretty far, hasn't it? So yeah, but I'll talk about me after the session is over. We have got qualifying underway right now. Guan Yu Zhou making his way around the circuit purple in the first sector, and then now coming out through turn number 5, up the hill towards turn number 6 and 7. It is very, very tricky, those corners, and the curbs as well, quite vicious. If you do bounce over the curbs, you lose a whole lot of grip, but that kick Sauber looks very stable indeed, and he makes his way through turn number 9, opens the DRS flap wide open, and then slams onto the brakes for turn number 10, stays within track limits there, does a good job keeping the car in line, and now driving around turn number 12, 13. Yeah, nicely done there from Guan Yu Zhou. He's done comes out of the final corner, and Guan Yu Zhou across the line for a 1 minute, what was it, a 1 minute 14.4 from Guan Yu Zhou. Very, very quick indeed, and that is a good start there for Guan Yu Zhou. Let's wait and see how much quicker he can get. All right, Daniel Ricciardo, purple in the middle sector. Lance Stroll, purple in the first sector. Ooh, the screen is frozen. There we go. It's back again. But yeah, Ricciardo now up into first position there after his qualifying lap. There he goes across the line, a 1:13.1. And now we've got Yuki Tsunoda across the line in second position. He goes 3/10 behind his teammate. Here comes Lance Stroll out of the final corner. He goes, and it is a second position there for Lance Stroll. He has done an excellent job of managing that Aston Martin. Red Bull Racing Bulls, have got some significant upgrades. They are very, very quick indeed. So yeah, let's keep an eye out and see what they can do. Usually they were struggling to get it through into Q3. Maybe one driver could get it through, but let's wait and see. With these big significant upgrades that they've said themselves should make them a decent amount quicker. Let's wait and see where they end up. Both drivers now, Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda, fairly on form, and the difference between them two isn't too massive compared to previous weekends. Daniel Ricciardo much closer to Yuki Tsunoda, even at some points going quicker than him. So that is great to see. Right, we've got a lot more drivers coming out of the paddock now. Finally, we are now 6 minutes into session, 12 minutes remain, and we have got Hamilton, Magnussen, both Ferraris, the Alpines, all of them coming out now, looking to get a quick run in. They're waiting for the track evolution and saving some tyres. That is very, very true. There we go. A lot more drivers out onto the paddock now, out onto the circuit. Sorry, and yeah. And just a quick thing, blue on the mini sectors and the full sectors. Blue means coming out the pits, yellow means slower than your personal best, green means personal best, and purple means fastest out of any driver. In fact, there's a massive traffic jam at the in the pit lane. Everyone coming out very, very slowly indeed. Let's wait and see what's going on here. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very difficult to see what's going on. Everyone just going so slowly, trying to cool down the tyres as much as possible. This is the thing. Usually, we see drivers trying to build up tyre temperature going into qualifying in their hot laps and out laps. But what we're seeing today is the drivers are going as slow as possible to cool the tyres down, because overheating is a significant issue on this circuit. If the drivers push too hard in the first sector, they lose out in the second and third sector because of overheating. So, if their tyres are slightly under temperature going into the start of the lap, they can push throughout the entirety of it and hopefully go a little bit quicker. So that's why we're seeing so many drivers crawling out the pit lane, literally slower than walking speed. But we're currently on board here with Sergio Perez, and he is flat through turn number 14, absolutely flat, 7 seconds quicker than the competition, and 5.1 lateral Gs as he goes through turn number 14. That is, wow, that is ridiculous to think of. He's going to be doing that 66 times in tomorrow's race, which is absolutely mind-blowing, but there he is, up at the top of the pack. He goes 7/10 quicker than the RB, and Alex Albon across the line 3/10 slower than Sergio Perez. Fernando Alonso, the home hero, is starting his flying lap. Let's keep an eye out on him. But now coming across the line, we've got Valtteri Bottas. He's starting a flying lap. Max Verstappen, he comes across the line, and he goes 7/10 quicker than Sergio Perez, a 12.3. What a lap. Perez, we'll see in Q3, Perez for Q3. I don't know, the gap between Verstappen and Perez is 7/10 of a second. Gap between Verstappen and Piastri is 7/10 of a second. That is a mega lap from Max Verstappen there. What can Lewis Hamilton do? Hamilton is also 7/10 away. Wow, that is Hamilton. What was I going to say? Verstappen has really hooked a lap up together there. I didn't check if he got a toe or anything, but yeah, a very quick lap indeed. Lando Norris, wow. Lando Norris is a 10th behind Max Verstappen here, and that is brilliant. Carlos Sainz purple in the first sector, so let's see what he can do. But the gap between both McLaren teammates, 7/10 of a second, that is enormous. Usually we do not see Norris and Piastri with such a big gap. And if it is, it's a circuit Piastri hasn't driven at before. For example, in China, Piastri had never driven at that circuit before this year, and the gap was pretty big, but that's, expectable. Given Piastri has no experience at that circuit. But Piastri has driven around the Spanish Grand Prix circuit in Formula 2 and Formula 3 and in Formula 1, but the gap's 0.7 of a second. Charles Leclerc goes quicker than Max Verstappen by 0.5. Great lap there from the Ferrari driver, and 0.5 is the gap, and maybe that was track evolution, maybe it's the Ferraris being really quick, but Nico Hülkenberg up into 5th position now. What a lap. The Hasses always do this, is always trying to get a car through into Q3, and a great job there. Pierre Gasly across the line into 5th position. Next up is George Russell, he's across the line into 5th position. So very, very quick indeed. And the top 5 split by 0.2 of a second. This is what I'm saying. Top 5, 4 different teams, and split by 0.2 of a second. It is ridiculously close up here in the top 10. Currently, the bottom 5 is Guan Yu Zhou, Kevin Magnussen, Daniel Ricciardo, Yuki Tsunoda, and Logan Sargent. All right. Yuki Tsunoda as well. He is where's Yuki Tsunoda? Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda 1 millisecond behind Alex Albon and 1 millisecond from being safe into Q2. It's not really going to matter because all of the drivers are going to have to do at least one more run, especially from 6th position and below. Everyone will have to do another run, but the top 5 are 0.5 second clear of the competition. That is crazy. How big that gap is. Absolutely enormous. We've got 5.7k people watching the live stream. That is absolutely fantastic. If you guys are enjoying the coverage, be sure to hit the like button. In fact, we've hit 500 likes, so I guess I can increase the like target to 1,000. We're getting pretty close to the sub target as well, which is great. Let's see, like goal, that is 1,000. Brilliant. Okie dokes. I have faith in Carlos Sainz. Well, Ferrari is the only team with both of their drivers up in the top 5. Everyone else, Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, the gap is 0.5 second between them. The gap between Norris and Piastri, 0.7 of a second. Gap between Verstappen and Perez, 0.7 of a second. So the Ferrari, both drivers have been doing very, very well there. Lance Stroll has been impeded by Logan Sargent, impeded by the Williams. The FIA have noted this, and I think Logan Sargent will have a penalty upcoming. And I'm not going to be too harsh here, but starting in 20th position, a 3-place grid penalty is not going to matter whatsoever for Logan Sargent. Yeah. Here we go then, 6 minutes left on the clock, and we have got... we've got 3 drivers out on the circuit, getting their tyres ready for their final runs. Okay, so what else have we got going on? Well, just the 2 Williams making their way around, nothing too special really. Everyone in the pits for a new set of fuel and tyres, and then they will be ready to go do some motor racing, as Michael Massey would say. Right. There we go. In fact, Logan Sargent comes into the pits, and Alexander Albon also looks like Alex Albon's actually on an outlap, so he'll be going on and doing a quick run. In fact, I'll take you through Alex Albon's lap, because I haven't taken you through this circuit. It's quite the exciting circuit, quite a lot of high-speed corners, and very, very exciting to watch. The tyres do not have a fun time at this circuit, though. They are screaming most of the time, because especially the front left tyre. The front left tyre sees some crazy wear here, but Alex Albon comes out of the final corner onto the power and onto the main straight he goes. DRS wide open up into 8th gear, reaching speeds of 320 kilometers an hour before he hits the brakes into turn number 1, and then over the curbs for 2, and then holds the inside line as much as possible for turn number 3. The Williams still struggling for grip as they go through there, braking at the 50-meter board, going into turn number 4. And then we've got turn number 5, one of the few left-handers on this circuit which are high speed. But Alex Albon deals with that nice. He stays within track limits as well. Track limits are a bit of a concern here, but no one has exceeded track limits so far in this qualifying session. Up through the hill, through turn number 7 and 8, and now turn number 9. Can he hold it flat? No, just a little lift there from Alex Albon, moving his throttle from 100% power to 70% as he goes now into turn number 10, slightly up on Daniel Ricciardo's lap time. He stays within track limits for turn number 10, and now he's got 12, 13 and 14, 3 right-hand corners where if he has got enough tyres and enough wear left on his front left, he could go through into Q2. So here he comes through turn number 14. He goes, opens the DRS once again, and he goes 1/10 quicker than Daniel Ricciardo. Will that be enough to make it through into Q2? Only time will tell. 3 minutes 15 seconds remain of this qualifying session, and we have got a lot of other drivers now making their way out onto the circuit to get their hot laps done. All of the drivers now will be paying attention to Max Verstappen's warm-up procedure. All of the drivers, all the teams, they'll be keeping an eye on where is he going quickly, where is he going slowly, and yeah, what's going on with his tyres basically. Where is he doing burnouts? Where is he weaving around a bit? Because they want to copy the optimal tyre warm-up strategy and use it for themselves. Sergio Perez starting a flying lap now, and he's got the Kick Saubers and the Alpine behind him. Right. Okay. Here he goes then into turn number 1 and 2, stays well within the white lines there, and the Red Bull is got a whole lot of grip, and now he breaks into turn number 4. Nicely done there, hitting both apexes, but he is a 10th down on Charles Leclerc's time already, just through the first sector. Now slamming into the brakes for turn number 5, and Sergio Perez doing a very, very good job there. Couple of personal bests going, well, in fact, all personal bests going through the first sector, all personal bests going through the second sector so far. Can he hold it flat through turn number 9? Very, very close, but I think he does hold it flat through number 9. And now as he heads towards the final sector, what can he do? Yeah, but a lot of improvement there for Sergio Perez, and hopefully he can match his teammate or get somewhere near. Otherwise, it will not be a good look for him. All of the drivers, in fact, improving quite a lot here. Both the Kick Saubers as well, they're improving by a significant amount. Perez improves by 0.6 of a second, and now he is up into 6th place behind George Russell. We've got Valtteri Bottas, he improves up into 7th. And then we've got Guan Yu Zhou up into 8th. So yeah, both Kick Saubers 0.3 behind the Red Bull of Sergio Perez there on these final runs. We've got Esteban Ocon currently in 16th position. He's now coming out across the line, and he goes up into 6th ahead of both Kick Saubers. We've got Lewis Hamilton currently in 12th position. And let's wait and see what he can do. He goes purple in the middle sector though, so that is very good, and good signs there for the Mercedes. And Hamilton managing those tyres very well as well, not pushing too hard in the first sector, so he has the ability to push hard in the second and the third sector, and he's doing so very, very well. We've got Piastri up into 6th position now after his run. We've got Nico Hülkenberg, he's starting his flying lap. Lewis Hamilton up into 1st position, a 10th quicker than Charles Leclerc. Great lap from him. You've got to take into account track evolution, but nonetheless a very good lap there for Lewis Hamilton, and putting a big smile on the Mercedes crew. So yeah, all right, we are 7 subscribers away from the subscriber target. That is brilliant to see. We've got Fernando Alonso coming out of the final corner at his home Grand Prix. He's currently in 16th position. He comes across the line. It's 9th position there for Fernando Alonso. That might be enough to get him through into Q2. Currently, Pierre Gasly is the next driver across the line. What can he do? 10th place for Pierre Gasly. And currently in the elimination zone, we have got Daniel Ricciardo, Alex Albon, Lance Stroll, Yuki Tsunoda, and Logan Sargent. Alex Albon's in the pits, so Alex Albon's definitely been knocked out here. Lance Stroll crossed the line up into 14th position there for Lance Stroll. Not the best lap compared to Fernando Alonso, but a good lap nonetheless. Yuki Tsunoda is 16th position. He's half a tenth off Kevin Magnussen's time, half a tenth off being safe. Nico Hülkenberg goes up into 12th, pushing Kevin Magnussen into the elimination zone. Logan Sargent currently in 20th position. He is the final driver to come across the line. Let's see what he can do. And there he goes across the line for Logan Sargent, and it is still 20th position there for him. So that has been Q1. The drivers eliminated are Kevin Magnussen, both Racing Bulls and both Williams. Racing Bulls brought a lot of upgrades this weekend. They were saying that they've brought a lot of upgrades and the car should be quicker, but here they are out in Q1. Not the best weekend out for Racing Bulls. Yeah, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what they can do. Yeah. Okay, yeah, Yuki Tsunoda over the radio saying understeer at turn. Yeah, I think the car was not fast enough. We'll have to look at the aero group for tomorrow. Let's wait and see, because this circuit there is quite, and we're going to have at least a 2-stop race, probably maybe even a 3-stop, depending on what the tyre wear's like if there's a safety car. So, yeah, we could have a fair amount of action going on in the next couple of, in the race tomorrow. Alright, we've hit our subscriber target. That is absolutely fantastic. 73,000 people. Every time we hit one of these, I'm just like, 73,000 people in a football stadium would be, well, it would be a ram-packed full football stadium, which is, yeah, quite crazy to think about. Okay, so that is Q1 complete. We'll be going through into Q2 very, very shortly. And, yeah, let's wait and see what's happening. Okie dokes. So let me know what your predictions are. Who do you think is going to get knocked out in Q2? I'm gonna go with, we're gonna have both Kick Saubers getting eliminated. We're going to also have both Alpines eliminated, and one of the Hasses. I think Kevin Magnussen will get knocked out, but Nico Hülkenberg will make it through. Yeah. I think both Aston Martins could make it through. Maybe it'll be Lance Stroll that actually gets knocked out. It will be hard to say. Right. So the Netherlands versus France, was it a goal? Oh, I saw something about that. No, I didn't actually see the replay of the was it a goal or not. So I'm not going to comment on that. But yeah, it seems my friends are talking about it, and it seems a bit controversial. Right. What else? All right. We'll have a 15-minute Q2 session and then a 12-minute Q3 session. Pretty typical stuff, really. And yeah, just want to talk about the fact that Lewis Hamilton up there in first position. Of course, you've got to take into account track evolution, and of course, nothing is final until the checkered flag at Q3. But yeah, it looks good. And these gaps that we've been seeing between teammates, Piastri is now, a second behind Norris, and that's only after his second run. And Russell was, I think, Hamilton was at quite a few tenths behind Russell. All of these gaps will basically disappear in Q2 because all the drivers will now go back, have those screens in front of them, and they'll be analysing all of the data. And they will see that Hamilton's quicker, braking a little bit later, going into turn number 10, and then gets on the power a little bit earlier. or he takes a different line through this corner, or something like that. And yeah, so they're going to be investigating all of those things, and the gaps between the teammates should narrow down significantly. Lewis Hamilton had a little bit of a moment, in fact. His lap wasn't even that perfect. He did go top of the times, a 10th quicker than the rest, but going through turn number 10, just a little mistake there. And he very marginally stayed within track limits. Like, he is taking a quite a different line compared to everyone else, and very marginally stays within track limits there for Lewis Hamilton. So yeah, I'm sure the other teams will be analysing the data and checking out if that line is quicker. Yeah. Right. Kind of new to Q1. How long breaks the driver get between Q1, Q2, Q3? It is going to be, I think normally the breaks are, 4 minutes. 4-minute break between each session, 4 or 5 minutes. Not much longer than that. Yeah. All right. Here we go then. Yeah, we've got the Q2 timing up on the screen, so we'll have Q2 underway very, very shortly. But yeah, 66 laps of racing tomorrow, so let's wait and see what happens there. But track evolution probably should reduce a little bit, this given that we've already had F2 and F3 racing here, and then we've already had a Q1 session. So track evolution shouldn't be that significant. Of course, it is still something to keep in mind, and I'll also try and keep on top of if anyone can manage to sort out a toe. Given how long this main straight is, if you can sort out a toe for even half of it, you could gain a significant amount of time. We saw McLaren were practicing setting up the toe for each of their drivers in the they were practicing in the practice sessions, of course. Yeah, practicing in the practice sessions. They were practicing managing the toe, managing the gap between the drivers for the toe along the main straight. So maybe we'll see the McLarens try and pull off that strategy. They'll send out Oscar Piastri a little bit ahead of Lando Norris for the first runs, and then they'll get Piastri gets a toe off Norris, or Norris gets a toe off Piastri, and then they'll do it the other way around for the second runs. But yeah. There we go, Q2 has begun. Lance Stroll, the first driver, out onto the circuit. Thank you everyone for tuning in and staying with us between Q1 and Q2. Yeah. We're getting pretty close to 1,000 likes, so if you are hitting the like button, that would be fantastic. What is a toe? A toe is it's a slang, I guess, for slipstream. Slipstream is effectively when you're behind another driver. So say there's a driver ahead of you, they are punching a hole in the air, effectively, and when you are right behind them going down a straight, that hole that they've punched in the air also carries along for you, so you don't have to punch a hole, which means you get a bit of an extra top speed boost. And if you can sort of use that top speed boost for your advantage, then that's what we call a toe. Yeah. Stroll P1, yeah, well, I guess it's not often that you see Lance Stroll up there in P1, but he makes his way out of the final corner. He'll be starting his flying lap. But everyone else still sat in the pits, everyone else waiting for the track to be cleaned up a bit, and going out at the latest possible moment. And look at that, all of the team radios for Lance Stroll. And it's quite interesting, actually. You see all of these radios that you normally don't see, but okay, Lance, straight out. It's clear at the pit exit. You're the only car for now. Still no cars left the pit lane. Delta's good. Decent stop in turn 10. And go when you're ready. So, yeah, quite interesting. And if anyone was wondering what a decent stop in turn 10 means you use as much, get as much power and acceleration out of turn number 9. And then when you go into turn number 10, really slam on those brakes, bring them up to temperature, because as you go down the main straight, you really, the brake temperature significantly drops. Now, tire temperature you do want to cool down, but brake temperature you do not want to be cooling down, because there is an optimal window, and as soon as you get out the optimal window, the brakes are nowhere near peak performance. So yeah, the drivers keep in mind that and try and get those brakes right up in the optimal window before they start their quali lap. And here comes Lance Stroll. He holds it flat through turn number 13. Can he hold it flat through 14? No, just a little lift, going down from 100% throttle to 90% throttle, and a 113.6 there from Lance Stroll. We've got Esteban Ocon out of the garage, and look at that, everyone coming out, the two McLarens, the two Ferraris, everyone coming out of the garage, and we've got the Red Bulls as well, and everyone now going to crawl. They're going to be crawling as slow as humanly possible. Well, not humanly possible, as slow as the Formula 1 cars can go without overheating, to try and reduce that tyre temperature. And yeah, everyone is following Esteban Ocon out. There we go. Right. Yeah, Lance Stroll, triple purple sector, not something you see very, very often. And look at that, everyone queued up at the end of the pit lane now, just sat there, ready to cool down their tyres before they go on a quali lap. Who do you think is going to win? Oh, that is tough to say, but I would like to, I would want to see... Carlos Sainz win. Of course, it is not win, sorry, get pole position. Given it is home race, at least a podium, potentially pole, that would be fantastic. And I would love to see Carlos Sainz do that at his home Grand Prix, like Fernando Alonso did all those years ago, back in 2004 and 2005 with Renault. Yeah. All right. Hey, got here late. Anything exciting so far? Nothing too exciting, to be honest. Just the usual suspects getting knocked out in Q1. We've got the two Racing Bulls, the two Williams, and then Kevin Magnussen getting knocked out. Everyone else, everything else pretty normal. All right. Sergio Perez starting his flying lap by the looks of it. And so is Esteban Ocon. So let's keep an eye out on all of these runs then. Sergio Perez going purple through the first sectors quicker than Lance Stroll. So that just indicates Red Bull have a quicker top speed than the Aston Martins, which is not to be expected. I think the Honda's a little bit more powerful, and the Red Bulls got a little bit less drag than the Aston Martin normally does. But Perez 0.3 up in the first sector, a very quick first sector indeed there for Sergio Perez. And it's looking good. Here we go then. What can he do? Esteban Ocon makes his way through turn number 12. Charles Leclerc does not get in his way. Through turn number 13. And now towards turn number 14. What can he do? Looks like he's flat, can't really tell though. And across the line he goes, a 1:12.3. He goes 1.2 seconds quicker than Lance Stroll. So that was quite a slow lap from Lance Stroll, to be honest. And then we've got Sergio Perez up in first position. He goes a 10th quicker than Esteban Ocon. Ideally, he should be going half a second quicker than Esteban Ocon, but a 10th is what Red Bull are getting today for our Sergio Perez. We've got Pierre Gasly in 7th position. He's going to be coming across the line soon enough. What can he do? He goes quicker than Perez by 1/10 of a second, 2/10 quicker than his teammate. So nicely done there from Pierre Gasly. Of course, the lead driver now at Alpine, whereas Esteban Ocon is going to be leaving at the end of this year. Fernando Alonso currently on a flying lap, no purple sectors as of yet, but he'll come across the line. Here he goes. What can he get? And it is a 5th position there for Fernando Alonso, not that quick. Even the Kick Sauber's beating him out. So yeah, the Fernando Alonso got a lot of time to make up here. We've got Carlos Sainz purple in the first sector, and then we've got Piastri purple in the second sector. So let's wait and see where these two drivers end up. Will they go quicker than Sergio Perez? Most likely, yes. We've got Piastri. Piastri's second purple sector has been taken away by Carlos Sainz, so Carlos Sainz doing a good job there. And Piastri now across the line he goes. What's it going to be? It's going to be first place for Piastri. Charles Leclerc was previously in first. Piastri takes that away by 27 milliseconds, but here comes Carlos Sainz. Across the line he goes, and he goes 1/10 quicker than Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen is on a flyer. He's green through the first sector, purple through the second sector, and maybe Verstappen is also going to have a purple third sector. Let's wait and see. Norris 2 milliseconds quicker than Carlos Sainz. So close up there at the top. And what is Max Verstappen going to do? He's going to go 2/10 quicker than the rest of the field. Well, not the rest of the field, but the rest of 2/10 quicker than Lando Norris. So yeah, very quick indeed there from Max Verstappen. He goes 2/10 quicker than everyone else. Let's see what Lewis Hamilton can do. Hamilton only 12th position there, and George Russell up into 6th. So Mercedes, who were looking very strong, and in fact coming into this weekend, George Russell was saying, "Oh, I think we could win here. We've really got a hang of the car, and the car seems quick and everything like that." But 6th position is the highest Mercedes could get so far. Let's wait and see in the second runs of Q2 what they can do. But quite a big gap there. And maybe we'll be playing the Dutch national anthem, or maybe Lando Norris can snatch a victory, snatch a pole position away. Maybe it could be Carlos Sainz at his home weekend. Hamilton over the radio saying this tyre was bad. So whatever, Hamilton obviously down in 13th position. Maybe that's an excuse. Maybe the tyre warm-up procedure was just the wrong way to go, and they'll be modifying that back for the next run. But 5 minutes remain of this qualifying session. The drivers are going to have to get a move on, get back into the pits, and put on some fresh tyres and get some more fuel in the car before they get their final runs going. Okay. Oh, we've hit 1,000 likes, and now it's all started to overlap with each other. That's fantastic, though. We have hit 1,000 likes. Brilliant. What team/driver do you support? I would, for any of you that don't know, my favourite driver was Sebastian Vettel, but of course he's no longer driving in Formula 1. So I kind of support Fernando Alonso / Yuki Tsunoda. Yeah. All right, just a final, Lewis Hamilton's past 5 races. He's 2nd in China, then 8th in the US Grand Prix, 8th in the race after that, 7th and 7th in the 2 races following. So yeah, 2nd in China, sorry, 5th in Miami, 7th in Miami, 8th in Miami, 8th in Imola, 7th in Monaco, and 7th in Canada. So he's got a couple of places to make up, but given the fact that the Red Bulls are quick, the Ferraris are quick, and the McLarens are quick, Mercedes have been fairly consistent in their 7th/8th spot as 4th fastest team, and not being too far off really. Yeah. All right, Lance Stroll once again out on the circuit on his own. 3 minutes 40 left on the clock. And it is, he's got a green first sector, a green second sector. So this will be his final run of Q2. Let's see how far he can go. He goes, half a tenth up on Esteban Ocon going through the second sector. So yeah, Stroll might not be able to make it through depending on how good his third sector is. If he's got enough tyre life left and the tyres aren't overheating. He goes into turn number 14 and it seems to be pretty quick. Doesn't seem like he lift, but across the line he goes, 10th position for him, and he goes 4 milliseconds ahead of Esteban Ocon. I doubt that is going to be enough. Maybe, but I think Hamilton's gonna set a quick lap, and then Stroll will get put into the elimination zone. We'll wait and see. Pit out means the drivers coming out of the pit lane. As you can see, everyone now, most of the drivers coming out of the pit, so that's why it means pit out. Pit out is usually the first. They're in the first sector after coming out of the pit lane. I think, and then afterwards it changes to. Oh no! Whenever they're on the out lap, it says pit out. Sorry. Yeah. Okie dokes. Or maybe it's just first sector. I can't remember, to be honest. Hamilton was on a used set. Was he on a used set? Maybe he was. I don't know. He's come out on a fresh set of tyres now, so. What are your reasons for liking Yuki and Fernando? Well, Fernando would just took the seat where Seb Vettel was, so I was like, right, well, I'll just support Alonso then. And then Tsunoda, no reason really. I just think he's a pretty quick guy, pretty honest guy. Yeah. Not got too much of an explanation, to be honest, on why I support Yuki Tsunoda, but yeah. Okie dokes, what else is going on the circuit? Everyone now making their way around, doing the hot laps, and it looks like everyone is out on a fresh set, apart from... oh no, everyone's out on a fresh set. Everyone that is on a flying lap is out on a fresh set of tyres here for the final runs of Q2. Will Sergio Perez be able to make it through? Will he not? Past 2 weekends, he has been knocked out of Q2, so here he comes now into the Spanish Grand Prix. Will he be able to get knocked out? Well, will he get knocked out or will he not? That is the question. Here he goes then. He'll be starting his flying lap now. Lewis Hamilton is currently on his flying lap. He's got a couple of purple mini sectors, a couple of green sectors, and he is 1 second down on the best time. Here he comes, across the line he goes, and Lewis Hamilton up into second place. Great lap once again from Lewis Hamilton. And once again, you've got to take into account track evolution is a pretty significant factor here, but nonetheless, the Mercedes are quick, and maybe they have a shot at pole, even though it would be quite a long shot if that was to happen. Yeah. Right. Fernando Alonso's on a fly. George Russell, purple in the first sector. Okay. Very, very quick there from George Russell. Let's keep an eye on if he can maintain that pace through the second or the third sector. Otherwise, it might get knocked out. And we've got Gasly now. He comes across the line. 7th position for Pierre Gasly. That pushes George Russell into 9th place. Now we've got Sergio Perez across the line. He's up into 7th. George Russell is on the brink of elimination. We've got Alonso and Russell on flying laps. Fernando Alonso, 2 green sectors for him, but it's nothing exceptionally quick. And we haven't seen too many purple mini sectors from him. George Russell with another purple mini sector in the middle sector. And Alonso comes across the line, and it is 11th place for Alonso. Unfortunately, cannot make it through into Q3 at his home Grand Prix. We've got George Russell up into 3rd place, right behind his teammate by 1/10 of a second. Not even 1/10 of a second, sorry. 0.5 of a second between himself and his teammate. Very, very close indeed. And I think that is that is it for Q2. We have got Fernando Alonso, Valtteri Bottas, Nico Hülkenberg, Lance Stroll, and Guan Yu Zhou eliminated. Both Alpines make it through into Q3. So my predictions were wrong. I said both Alpines wouldn't make it through and the Aston Martins would. In fact, the exact opposite has happened. And we've got the 2 Alpines through. Sergio Perez makes it through as well. So look at that. The top 5 are 5... Well, that is the top 5 fastest teams. The Red Bulls, the Mercedes, the McLarens, the Ferraris, and then the Alpines. It's a big surprise, the Alpines being 5th fastest. I would have expected Aston Martin, given where our Alpine started out this season, right at the back of the pack, overweight, underpowered, but... here they come. There's some significant improvements, even though they are still lacking in the power department at this circuit where downforce is king. Here are Alpine once again. Wow. All right, 8,400 people. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We're going to have 4 minutes? Yeah, it's going to be 5 minutes until Q3 is underway. So let's just hang in there. But the top 10 shootout is going to be very, very exciting. Just looking at top 5 within 0.2 of a second of each other. And in fact, the top 10, look at that. The top 10 split by 4.5 tenths. It has not been that close in a very, very long time. And it is, well, great to see, isn't it? We finally have got some more competition going on in Formula 1, which is brilliant. Right, yeah, Alpine is no longer a tractor. They've somehow pulled it out of nowhere. They don't even have any upgrades this weekend, but on these high downforce circuits, Alpine really excel. Even in Monaco, we saw where power isn't that important, where the downforce comes on top. Alpine are a force to be reckoned with. Surprised by Merck's performance indeed. I still don't know how much to read into Merck's performance because this is all after the first runs of Q2 and none of the other top teams went out for another run. So I don't know where to gauge Mercedes. Like, was that track evolution? Was that them just being slow on their first runs? Tough to say. But yeah, Max Verstappen has really got to run for his he's got to run for his money. To try and get pole today. Of course, I think he's still probably the quickest driver car combo, but Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton, maybe even Carlos Sainz all have a pretty good chance of dislodging him from pole, and maybe a little slip up from Verstappen, and we could see someone else up there on the top step. Right. Oh. Let me know what your predictions are. Who do you think is going to get pole position? I'm still rooting for Carlos Sainz, given it is his home race. But if I was to bet, I would probably be betting on Max Verstappen. Yeah. Right. Let's have a look. A close P1 Max, yeah. Hammer time or smooth operator, let's wait and see. Let us wait and see. When does Q3 start? Q3 starts in 3 minutes time, folks. 3 minutes and Q3 will be underway. So yeah, also I would like to keep that in mind. Perez does have a grid penalty. He got a grid penalty because in the Canadian Grand Prix, he crashed the car and damaged his rear wing, and then he drove the damaged car back to the pits. So yeah, he drove a damaged car back to the pits. If that rear wing had fell off, maybe he went over a curb and the rear wing flew off, that would have went flying into another driver's car, and potentially hurting them. So yeah, so Sergio Perez was given a 3-place grid penalty by the FIA for an unsafe driving procedure or something along those lines, and that is why he is going to be starting 3 places lower than wherever he qualifies today, which is not great to say the least, since Sergio Perez has really got a comeback. He's really got to bring back his form, make a comeback and hopefully be maybe 1-2 places behind Max Verstappen. But it's going to be a lot harder if he's got a 3-place grid penalty on his hands as well. Okie dokes. There we go, the screen has reset and we are going to have the final runs of Q3 in 2 minutes time. 7,400 people tuning in currently. Be sure to hit the like button, folks, it really will help out the channel, and if you aren't subscribed then be sure to do that as well. Hopefully we can hit 100k by the end of the year. It is a bit of a long shot given that we've only got 15 races left, which would mean I need like 2,000 people subscribing per stream, but if you're enjoying the coverage then a subscription would not hurt, would it? Max hasn't got a grid penalty. No, Max has no grid penalty. It's only Sergio Perez with a grid penalty from the Canadian Grand Prix. Right. According to the qualifying simulations, so this is the qualifying simulations that were run yesterday in FP2. In the FP2 session, was at the same time. So currently in Spain, I think it is 4 p.m. Or becoming close to 4 p.m. Or 5 p.m. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, the FP2 session was at the same time yesterday. So the qualifying sims indicated that the Ferraris and the Red Bulls would be very, very close to each other within 0.01 seconds, but that is of course yesterday's track temperatures, and yesterday's track temperatures were in the 45s, 48s. Currently track temperature is 35 degrees, so a lot cooler than the teams were expecting, and that is going to make, it's going to mix it up a little bit. We'll wait and see who comes out on top, but with the lower track temperature, the drivers can afford to push a little bit harder in the first sector and still get away with it because the surface of the track just isn't that hot to overheat their tyres. 4:47 in Spain. Thank you for the thank you for that. Yeah, so approaching 5 o'clock. Right. And there we go, a green light for Q3. We're going to have drivers coming out of the pack, and look at that. We've got Sergio Perez, by the looks of it, has made his way onto the circuit. And is anyone else following him out? No one else is following him out as of now. Perez will be the first ones to do the run in Q3. And the final top 10 shootout. Just a quick update on the constructors. The Ferraris are 50 or so points behind the Red Bulls. Or I think it's 49 points that they're behind the Red Bulls. And then McLaren are 40 points behind Ferrari. And then Mercedes are half the points of McLaren. And then Aston Martin are half the points of Mercedes. So, yeah, quite a lot of improvement there for Mercedes still to do. Well, quite a lot of work to do in the constructors. They have got a quick car now, but if they've got to consistently be quick if they want to have any hope of catching up against McLaren in the championship. And then Ferrari, they are 50 points behind Red Bull, so they're going to need to hope for a couple of DNFs here or there if they want to close up that gap significantly. And they're also going to need to perform consistently, unlike what they did in Canada after getting a win in Monaco to both getting knocked out in Q2 in Canada. Yeah, the Ferraris have once again recovered. Maybe low downforce circuits is not where they're ideal. We'll wait and see. But yeah, at this high downforce circuit like Monaco, the Ferraris are doing very well once again. Sergio Perez, there he goes. He starts his flying lap, a couple of drivers ahead of him to give him a bit of traffic, but I'm sure everyone will get out of the way nicely. Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc crawling out of the pit lane at a speed of probably 2 miles an hour, just cooling those tyres down as much as possible. We have 10 minutes to go before the checkered flag is out. Sergio Perez is currently the first driver to do his runs. It's purple in the first sector, of course, given that he is the first driver out. But Perez is out on a set of used soft tyres. I don't know why it says Leclerc is out on wet tyres. Leclerc is not out on wet tyres. I would like to confirm he is out on soft tyres. Don't know what's wrong with the data today. Yeah. But keep in mind that Perez's lap is done on a set of old tyres. Yeah. I don't know why it says Charles Leclerc's out on wets. He's not out on wets. It would be a very Ferrari thing to do to put him out on wets, but to clarify, he is not out on the wet tyres. Yeah. All right, then here comes Sergio Perez out of the final corner he goes. And what's it going to be for lap time? A 1:13.0 for Sergio Perez on a used set of soft tyres. I'm sure it'll go much quicker on a fresh set. Right. So we'll have Gasly and Norris and then Leclerc starting their quick runs. Looks like Verstappen is on a hot lap as well. We've got Sainz on a hot lap. Sainz goes purple in the first sector, 0.2 quicker than Verstappen. In the first sector is Carlos Sainz. So let's keep an eye out. I think Carlos Sainz maybe got a bit of a tow through the first sector by the looks of it. But, Ferrari have managed to sort out a tow. Big props to them. Verstappen currently 0.8 up on Sergio Perez going through the second sector line, and let's wait and see what he can do in the third sector. A bit of a twitch there from Max Verstappen. He's not going to be happy about that. The car not doing exactly what he wants. And here he comes out of the final corner. Carlos Sainz also matching the same time for Verstappen, going slightly quicker through the first sector, and Max Verstappen across the line, first place, a 1:11.6. He gets out of the way immediately, does not want to giving Charles Leclerc a tow whatsoever. But Carlos Sainz now out of the final corner. Can he go quicker than Max Verstappen? No, he cannot. 0.2 of a second that he loses out in the third sector. He was on par, neck and neck in the first and second sectors, but in the third sector is where he lost all of the time, and 1/4 of a second he lost in the final sector. Maybe that was better tire management there from Max Verstappen. Maybe it was Carlos Sainz making a mistake. We're yet to get a replay. Lando Norris, he is quicker than Verstappen going through the second sector line as well, exactly like Carlos Sainz. So here we go. We've got an onboard with Lando Norris. He goes through the third sector. Nicely done. Stays within track limits at turn number 13. Stays within track limits of turn number 14, and across the line he goes, but yet again 1/10 behind Max Verstappen, still losing out in the third sector. Max Verstappen is doing something that none of the other drivers are doing in the third sector, and he's gaining a massive amount of time for it. Here comes Charles Leclerc, across the line he goes, and he is 2/10 behind his teammate, 3/10 behind his teammate. In fact, Lewis Hamilton, he is also equal to Max Verstappen in the second sector, but what can he do in the third sector? Once again, it is not enough, and he's a 1/10.5 down in the third sector. That is one mega third sector from Max Verstappen, absolutely mega. And first and second sector, everyone else is able to keep up with Verstappen, but in the third sector, Verstappen just does something else. So let's wait and see what happens. Oscar Piastri, he's yet to do a hot lap. I think Piastri's out on a used set of tyres. I don't know exactly what he's doing. Piastri got a lap time deleted, and so did Carlos Sainz. No one's got a lap time deleted so far in qualifying, but Carlos Sainz lap time deleted at turn number 11. Oscar Piastri, lap time deleted at turn number 10. So not great for those two drivers. Just to confirm what happened there with Carlos Sainz's one doesn't matter. Carlos Sainz got a lap time deleted, but that was on his out lap, so we can ignore that. But Piastri got a hot lap deleted for exceeding track limits at turn number 10. So I'm going to kind of explain why this happened here. At this circuit, if you look at the circuit map, there are a lot more right-hand corners than there are left-hand. And the other thing to keep in mind is that the high-speed corners, like turn number 9, turn number 14, turn number 13, turn number 3, all of these corners that are high speed, they're all right-handers. So what the drivers and the teams have done is that they've opted for an asymmetrical setup where the left side of the car is softer than the right side of the car, which means on right-handers, the drivers get more grip and they can go quicker through the right-hand corners. The problem with this is that when the drivers go to do a left-hand corner, the drivers are expecting a certain amount of grip that they got in the right-hand corners. They expect, okay, I'll turn the wheel this much at this speed and the car shouldn't spin out, or the car should actually turn and not understeer. But Oscar Piastri goes into turn number 10 expecting the kind of grip that he would get in a right-hander, but because it's a left-hand corner, turn number 10, he turns the wheel and the car just does not steer as expected, and he exceeds track limits. So this is one of the complications with an asymmetric setup. The car is theoretically quicker in one lap because you have an asymmetrical setup, but if the driver cannot adapt to the asymmetricalness of the car, then you get exceeding track limits and you get mistakes. So let's wait and see. I'm sure Piastri will have figured that out, and I'm sure the team will tell him over the radio. But the top 5 split within a quarter of a second. The top second to 6th is within a 1/10.5 of each other. Very, very close indeed. But Max Verstappen just a tiny cut above the rest, just 1/10 ahead of everyone. And that 1/10, there's all of that pace materialized from the final sector. Everyone else matching him in the first and the second sector, but the final sector is that critical point where everyone loses out. So let's wait and see. We've got Sergio Perez out onto the circuit, first driver. Oscar Piastri is the second driver. And we have 3 minutes left on the clock for the final top 10 shootout. The 2 Ferraris coming out as well. All right, everyone making their way out onto the circuit. Here we go for the final runs of Q3 for the Spanish Grand Prix. Track temperature 35 degrees, the lowest it has been all weekend long. Air temperature 24 degrees. We've had a couple of upgrades for the Ferrari team, a couple of upgrades for the Red Bull team, and the upgrades seem to be working well. Here we go then. Let me know what your predictions are. Who do you think is going to get pole after we've seen the first runs? Will it be Max Verstappen? Will Lando Norris be able to pull out a mega third sector and stick it on pole? Let's wait and see. Alpine double Q3, that is, indeed, very, very crazy indeed. Big surprise, to be honest, but here we go. At the high downforce circuits, the Alpines really seem to excel. At Monaco, they did well. At Spain, they're doing well. So, yeah. All right. In 2022, Charles Leclerc had pole here. 2021, Lewis Hamilton had pole. 2023, Max Verstappen has had pole. Will it be another driver? Will it be one of those three? Let's wait and find out. We have 9,000 people tuned into stream. If we could hit 1,500 likes, that would be fantastic. We're like, 58 away. And if you are enjoying the coverage, I will be commentating for tomorrow's race, so be sure to tune into that. It would be a pleasure to have you for tomorrow's stream as well. All right. And I also hope you guys aren't getting any adverts, because I've messed around with the YouTube settings a bunch and figured out a way to turn off adverts during the stream. And I think you still get one when you click on the live stream, but hopefully you guys aren't getting any adverts while the coverage is still live. Yeah, which would be ideal. So do let me know if you guys don't get adverts, because I've been messing a bit to try and switch them off. All right, Oscar Piastri, not purple through the first sector. He goes quicker than his personal best, and he goes quicker than Verstappen through the first sector. So that is a good sign there for Oscar Piastri. And let's wait and see what he can do. He's got Pierre Gasly up ahead of him a little bit, but Pierre Gasly gets out of the way nicely. And is Piastri flat through turn number 9? Here he goes, and he is absolutely flat. Great job there from Piastri, flat through 9. If he can hold it flat through 14, that would be fantastic. He's a 10th down on Verstappen going into the second sector though, and it's going to be very, very tough to get a perfect third sector out of here. And look at that, Max Verstappen starting a flying lap, and who has he got a tow from? Is Max Verstappen getting a tow off Sergio Perez here? By the looks of it, yes, he is. Max Verstappen getting a tow off Sergio Perez, going into his final run of Q3. So Red Bull really pulling out all of the stops here to get Max Verstappen up onto pole. Here we go then. Perez improves. Esteban Ocon improves. Next driver across the line is Lewis Hamilton. He's starting a flying lap. We got George Russell. He's going to be starting a flying lap as well. Carlos Sainz, he comes across the line. Second place for Carlos Sainz, half a tenth behind Max Verstappen. The checkered flag is out. Charles Leclerc now coming across the line. 2 green sectors from him. Will it be enough to beat Max Verstappen? No, it won't. He goes 5 milliseconds ahead of his teammate. 5 milliseconds, so close. Max Verstappen purple in the second sector. He's 2/10 up on his previous personal best, no doubt short because of that tow that he got from Sergio Perez. But here he comes, out of the final corner he goes. What can he do? It is purple, and he improves by another 0.2 of a second, 0.3 of a second that he improves by. So now it's all left at the hands of Lando Norris, who's got a purple middle sector. And let's wait and see. Pierre Gasly across the line, 7th place for him. Then we've got Sergio Perez, he comes into the pits by the looks of it, and now we've got Lando Norris. So what can he do? He comes out of the final corner, and Lando Norris is on pole. 20 milliseconds is the gap between himself and Verstappen, and Lando Norris is sticked it on provisional pole. Lewis Hamilton, can he dislodge his fellow Brit from pole position? Here he comes across the line. No, he cannot. 3rd place for Lewis Hamilton, and George Russell, 4th position for him, and Lando Norris is on pole position for the Spanish Grand Prix. What a lap from Lando Norris. What a middle sector. He didn't even get a tow off the start-finish straight, and yet he beats Max Verstappen. What a lap. I was totally not expecting that. I was expecting another Max Verstappen pole. But Lando Norris pulls it out of the bag, especially when it mattered, and he's on pole. What a lap. What a lap. I've got to say, a fantastic job here from Lando Norris, and potentially we're going to have a very exciting race tomorrow on our hands with the 2 Mercs in 3rd and 4th, the Ferraris in 5th and 6th, and Lando Norris up on pole. Going into turn number 1, we could see a lot of action on our hands, and great lap there from Lando Norris. Yeah, he's very, very pleased over the radio. Very pleased indeed. Right, well, that has been a very, very exciting Q3 session. Was not expecting that so close between Norris and Verstappen, but Verstappen has parked up in that number 2 slot, and I'm sure he's not particularly pleased, but he knows that he's got a quick race car under his hands for tomorrow. So let's wait and see. But thank you everyone for tuning in for today's coverage. It has been a pleasure commentating to you guys. We've got just 10,000 people who've just tuned in now. Very much do appreciate it, folks. I will be commentating for tomorrow's race for Lando Norris starting on pole position, and Max Verstappen obviously alongside him. And then we'll have 66 laps of racing action on our hands at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. And I'm very much looking forward to it. So be sure to tune in to that tomorrow. I'll end today's stream. It'll take you over to tomorrow's stream. So, and just go ahead and press the reminder button, press the like button. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on where you are in the world. And I will see you tomorrow, folks, for a race where Lando Norris is starting on pole position and has the potential to win. Yeah, maybe it'll be maybe Norris, maybe Verstappen, maybe Hamilton, maybe Russell. It is very, very tough to say. All of the pace is very, very close indeed. But yeah, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'm going to end the stream, and it will take you over to tomorrow's stream. So that has been the Spanish Grand Prix qualifying from me. Cheers, folks, and I will see you in 24 hours for the Grand Prix. Cheers, fellas.